Hey everybody, Jim Reif is here at Keller Williams in Carmel Valley and Del Mar, coming to you from a beautiful day in San Diego. I think it's about, I haven't been outside yet, but it's about 80 degrees, and we've gone from 30-degree weather to 80-degree weather. So for those of you that are in other areas of the country where it's not as beautiful as it is today, sorry, come visit, and you'll want to live here. We've got John Roehrig with us today. John's a good friend of mine here in our market center. John's going to share a little bit of his background with you, and he's going to share with you the way that he does his business, how he gets his business, the things he does to get his business, and what he's doing to grow his business. So, John, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome.
And we've got Matt from Vyral Marketing. He's the good-looking young guy amongst the three of us. Matt's company does a great job facilitating these events, and just does a great job with agents, helping them grow their business as well. So if any of you have any questions on how you can use video and those types of techniques to grow your business, Matt and the crew over at Vyral Marketing, VYRAL, are the ones you need to talk to. So, Matt, hello.
How's it going, Jim?
Good, man. Thanks for facilitating for us today. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody has any questions, be sure to submit them through the Q&A app, and towards the end of things, I'll bring those questions to Jim and John's attention. That way they can answer them live.
Great. Well, let's get into it. John.
Hello.
Thanks for being with us today. Why don't you give everybody your background, tell them how long you've been in the business, what you've done, because you and I had lunch last week. You've been in the business, what, 20-plus years?
A long time.
Yeah,
yep.
Long time.
Since 1989.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 25 years.
Yes.
So how'd you start? Uh-oh. Did we freeze up?
Looks like it. It might resolve itself in a second. We'll see. So what's your experience with John?
My experience with John?
Yeah.
John is an old school sales guy. He will wear out, I don't know how many pairs of shoes in a year, going out knocking on doors and engaging people and talking to people, and he's almost like a throwback to the Fuller Brush guy and the encyclopedia salespeople, where he will just go knock on doors and have conversations with people about their real estate needs. And as I told you earlier, Matt, he has a great personality. He's a phenomenal listener. He has a great laugh, and he's just one of the type of guy that he's very engaging. John's business is continuing to grow year after year after year, and it all starts with the door knock. Oh, there he is. You back?
Yeah, I don't know. I just fell off, so sorry about that.
That's all right. So, John, why don't you share with everybody your history, where you've been in your business, what you've done to grow your business, and where you started.
Okay, so I've been in San Diego since 1999. I was selling up in Orange County and Los Angeles area before that. I've been in the county here for 15 years, and I came from a heavy sales background. Actually, I didn't. I came from college, so I never really had a traditional type of job. So I always was in real estate. I worked for Mike Ferry for a little while, so I learned the whole sales aspect of it. By no stretch does that mean that I was ever comfortable prospecting. Never was comfortable. In fact, I would break out in a cold sweat when I would think about it. So getting good at talking to people I didn't know is something that I've learned to get good at. And now I don't have any resistance around it at all. But it wasn't that way when I started.
Okay, so what changed?
I didn't have any other way to grow my business because I knew that there was a group of people I knew, which was pretty small, and then there was everybody else. So I didn't see another way to grow my business and avoid spending a lot of money that I couldn't account for or predict. So I saw it as the only way I could actually grow my business for no money, and in the way that I think it would make a difference, which it has.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so keep going. So keep telling us about how you got to where you are now.
So, I've door knocked, telemarketed. I've done both. So, and the door knocking, I guess, is what you want me to touch on here.
Right.
I picked an area that wasn't overwhelmingly big. I picked an area of 600 houses, and there was another agent that was dominating that market, meaning he had, gosh, I'd say 60% of the inventory, but he wasn't door knocking. And all he was doing was, 4-color flyers handed out by a flyer person
Right.
every month, and he owned the market doing that. So I looked at that and I said, well, how can I get in a relationship with these people? And inside of 18 months, he was gone. I had the market share.
Well, and good for you, because one of the things that we know is every year NAR, National Association of Realtor, does a study of home buyers and sellers, and the number one reason why they choose the agent that they work with is because they know them, they like them, and they trust them. So
yeah.
that was exactly what you established by getting in relationship with them, as opposed to just mailing them a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just didn't have the money to do that anyways, and I didn't think it was going to be effective. So, and I went in, and he's not a bad agent. He's a good agent. He gets good results, but his approach to it was very hands-free, and I'm going to say, disconnected. So it was just I'm going to pay, it's going to go out, and my phone's going to ring kind of thing. And so it was pretty easy to beat him.
Mm-hmm. So is he still in that market?
No, not in that market.
No. Good.
No, he's moved on.
And how did you choose those particular 600 homes? What was the criteria that you chose those homes?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. If someone were to ask me what they would look for in a criteria, if they were looking to establish a door-knocking geographic area, I would look at the age of the homes first. Okay. I noticed that I look at the timeline where a family buys a house, they have kids, the kids go to school, and then they're out of the house. Mm-hmm. And I'd look and I'd add to that timeline, I'd add 2 or 3 years of, empty bedrooms, mm-hmm. and people going, what are we doing here? And that would be the year of house I would be looking to market. Okay. So, I'd say 15 years to 20-year-old homes. If mm-hmm. I was going to do it again, that's the age of home I would be looking for. I'd be looking for 93 to 95 built construction.
Okay.
Because those are the people that you're going to see heavy turnover in those areas. Once you get past 1985 or older, you get more pine boxers, right? I'm going to die in this house. They're going to take me out and feet first, and there's not the turnover that I'm looking for.
Pine boxer. Everybody write down that term.
No pine boxers. The feet firsters.
Yeah.
Right. I just think their roots are too deep, and if they were going to move, by and large, generally speaking, they would have done it in the window that I'm actually recommending.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So you're still in that neighborhood of 600 homes?
Yes.
And you developed a database where you have how many people of that 600 do you have in your database?
I don't have that number, but you're going in a direction that's probably even a bigger part of this year's plan, which is and something that's evolved for me. So when I first started in this area and actually in this business, I was very focused on leads. You were either business for me or you weren't. So when I would meet you on the street, I would ask you when you plan to move, and I'd go through my spiel. And if you weren't a lead, I would just say thank you and I'd move on. So I've changed how I relate to people completely, and I definitely want to make sure people understand that in this call. Before, you were either useful to me or not. It was very cold. It was very there was no other reason for me to be talking to people. Now, I'm interested in getting a relationship with people, whether they have an interest in real estate or not. Because now I studied this book. I don't know what the red book.
Yeah.
The red book, and I'm on the slow train. So yeah, that one. Yeah. So I now realize that for being in relationship pays me dividends every year. So when I got my attention on this, people stopped being a number and started being opportunities, people I can contribute to. And so now I relate to people a whole different way, and it's much more fulfilling, number one, and it's way more profitable. Way more profitable. Yeah. So now when someone says they're not moving, I say to them, do you have someone that you normally use when you buy or sell real estate? That's a rhetorical question, Jim. People don't.
Right.
And so what I'm looking for is them to search their mind and say, no, we don't. I mean, we've been here 15 years. Obviously, they don't.
Right.
And when they say no, they don't, I say to them, well, would you be open to my earning your business whenever that is? Right? Mm-hmm. Whenever that is, no pressure. I just here, I want to be a resource. And as soon as they say yes, then I think you wanted me to do this. I'm in front of them. I'm on their door, and I have a clipboard. And as soon as they say, yeah, sure, you could earn my business whenever that is. You're not a threat to me. I look down on my clipboard and I go, great, well, I know your name. I know your address. What's your phone number? I don't ask them if I can have their phone number. I command them to give me their phone number. What's your phone number? I write it down on my clipboard, and I don't make eye contact. They give me the phone number. When I'm done writing that down, and I go, an email? Again, I'm not asking them that I can have their email. I'm commanding them to give me their email. And they'll give it to me. And if there's any wavering, I'll look up and I'm like, look, I'm not going to get weird and spam you, so don't worry about it. What's your email? Mm-hmm. Because I learned that with what Gary Keller is trying to teach us, we're trying to actually make sure that we can be top of mind. And if I don't have every single way to communicate to people, I can't be as effective as I could if I had everything. Right. So let me give you some numbers so you can have this be real for you. So before old model, I didn't call my database. It was a phone book. It was a phone book. Mm-hmm. People say, are you calling the people you know? Yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't call them. When I got my attention on the value of my relationships, I looked and I saw, well, Gary Keller says for every 12 people you're in a relationship, 2 deals a year. And I always dismissed that. So I started to I made a decision to stop dismissing that and to see how I could actually prove him right. When I looked at those numbers, my number initially was 87 to 1. Okay. If you think about it, that sucks. Right. Gary's saying 6 to 1, and I was 87 to 1, which is really a reflection of how little, how disconnected I was with the people I thought I knew. That number, I just got my attention on it, and I started doing the follow-up programs that are systematic and easy. That number dropped from 87 to 31 the next year. The following year, 2013, it dropped to 23, and then 2014, it dropped to 18. So for every 18 people that you come in contact with, you do 1 transaction. So for every 18 people that are in my database that I market to and I follow up with in a systematic way, I'm not doing any heavy lifting, and I'm not throwing a truckload of money at them. Mm-hmm. For every 18 people, I make a sale. Wow. So now I also monetized each relationship. It's just how I am. I have a little analytical in me. So at my average commission, for every person I add to my database every day, from door knocking, for instance, that relationship is worth $700 a year forever. So you could say that if I add 3 people to my database in a day, I'm adding $2,100 to my income for that year and for every year following, as long as I'm effective. That's awesome. So what's your 18 to 1 last year? 18 to 1. Yeah, that's right. 18 to 1. And what's the goal for this year? Single digits. Single digits. Single digits. Under 10. Okay, so cut that in half to get to 9. 9. That'd be great. I'm sure everybody out there would love to have the kind of business where for every 9 people that they were in contact with on a regular basis, they did 1 transaction. Me too. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy at 18, but I know that the other thing is I'm actually looking at that number as a reflection of my connection with people. That's what I'm making it mean. So the more connected I am, and the way I define connected is being of service to them, being someone they can turn to. So when I call them, I don't say to them, because I call them 3 times a year.
Right.
I don't say to them, hey, do you know anybody that wants to sell? They know what I do. It's not what the call's about. I call them and I say, how are you? What do you need? What are you up to? What's important to you? How can I help you with that? And so when they see my name on their phone, I'm not going to be haranguing them for business.
Right.
I'm simply there to be connected.
And how often? I mean, so generally speaking, they probably pick up your phone calls fairly regularly.
If they're available, they take my call.
Yeah. So John, tell everybody about your business last year. How many transactions did you do in 2014?
31.
31 transactions. And what was the volume on that?
Just over 18 million.
Over 18 million. And gross commission income was?
440.
440. Good for you. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them were from how many of those deals were from your database?
80%.
80%. And where'd the other 20% come from?
Prospecting. On the door or on the phone. Now remember, when I would go through the door knocking, I still do that, but a lot of those people transition over into the database. Right. So the source that I call it is the database, because they're getting all the touches. They're not just getting the door knocking touch. So just to be clear, it's black and white. The source is if they're in the database and they call me with a referral, that's a database source.
Right. Yeah. You break it down, it's a referral.
It's a referral. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Now, and one of the things that I want to be really clear about, because I was really impressed when I saw John do this in our market center last year, was the way that he does this. The way that when he's at the door and he's speaking to people, he uses the word command. I command them to give me their email address and their phone number. And I know for some of you that may be strong language. But I coach a lot of agents here at the office, and a lot of them want to use language such as, would it be okay if I added you to my you really never want to ask a question that they can say no to.
Yeah, right.
And John has perfected that, and just telling them, here's the information you gave me you just gave me permission.
Mm-hmm.
I need your phone number. And he doesn't look at him. He just keeps his head down, and that's a nonverbal cue for them to do exactly what he's asking them to do, what he's telling them. So I'm sure some of you out there are saying, "Oh, I could never do that," or "That's too strong." But this is a performance art, and I know that you all can do that.
Mm-hmm.
John, were you perfect at this the first time you did it?
No, I was. You can actually door knock and have 0 results. Or you could door knock and you could actually get the results that I'm getting now in your first week or month. It really it's the context that you're coming at them with. And the other thing too is that I know that the marketing that we do, the 33 touch that we implement, the message that we send, we want the people to know, look, being in a relationship, that's only going to get me in the door.
Uh-huh.
In the end, they're going to hire the person that they feel the most confidence from. And from the first time I meet them, they're going to know I'm an authority, and they're going to know I'm confident. And so when I command them, it's because I know that's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And so they know that I'm not a pansy about this. I'm a tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I want them to know. I want them to know I'm going to defend them, and I'm going to represent them, and that's how I'm going to be with them. That's right. That's right. So the marketing tells them that I do a lot of business. The marketing tells them that I help a lot of people and I'm really good at it. So the message that we put out with all that stuff is that I'm really good at it and I help a lot of people. So by the time I connect with them, all I'm trying to do is stay related to them. They know the rest, but the tonality and the authority is what they're hiring. Otherwise, they all get the calls, or people will go, well, gosh, we really wanted to work with you. We felt terrible, but we went with X. Well, they went with X because that person had more control. Right. That person had more command.
Right.
So that doesn't happen much anymore.
Right. So you talked about a couple of things that maybe some of the people that are watching this aren't familiar with. You talked about your follow-up system with your 33 touch and your 8x8. You use the Keller Williams Edge system that has all that in it, so that when you set them up in your database, all of that information just goes out automatically, so that it keeps you front of mind. Am I correct?
No,
No.
no, I don't use eEdge.
Okay.
I also have an assistant though, so I have that piece handed off and managed by someone else that can actually execute those programs in a timely manner in a way that's consistent with the Red Book.
Okay.
And by the way, I don't think they're great. I think they're every year I get better. It's not perfect. We don't hit everything perfect, and it's not a home run every year, but every year is better than the last year, as reflected in my numbers.
Yeah.
So I'd say that
That's
if you were an agent and you didn't have an assistant, eEdge would be the natural place for someone to do that. But I have someone that manages all those particles, so it's kind of off my plate.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Good.
John, was it always like that? Can you take us through the progression? You mentioned that you kind of did some low-hanging fruit initially, where you're able to take some of the very easy or systematic follow-up strategies and you implemented those first. Like, how did you start ramping up to start building more of a relationship, coming off of the prospecting mentality?
Well, I just started calling the people I knew that I should. Right. So I had a lot of apologizing to do. Like, hey, I'm still here. I'm over here. Remember me? I sold you a house 5 years ago. Yeah, I'm still here. So, I was also blessed with knowing that I could actually go and be a salesperson. So the transition is that when I was ready to implement those systems, I had already had an assistant that could actually take that on for me. So I never did it on my own. Very little. I'm not someone I can count on to get that stuff done if it's up to me. But I'm also really good at delegating.
Well, and yeah, that's the funny thing, right? Is we know that very few of the agents that sell a home, that represent a buyer or a seller, actually stay in contact with that client. So I would ask agents, what are you doing to stay in contact with your past clients? Because and I get that objection all the time from agents. They're like, well, I can't call them now. It's been too long. It's never been too long. John,
never been.
What script would you use if you were calling me and you and I we did business before? You represented me in a purchase or sale of a home, and we haven't spoken in a long time.
No, I just simply call and I would say to you, look, it's been a long time since I've reached out. And I apologize. The time has gone by, and I haven't made an effort to stay in touch with you. I mean, I think the best approach is the honest approach.
Yeah.
And you just say, and then I just ask them how they are, and ask them if it's okay if I can actually make sure that I'm a resource for them. Now, I think the thing that I'm more interested in is just knowing the truth with people. So I'm not afraid to ask people if I can be that person for them. Even people, I don't assume anymore, because then it's messy. So if someone tells me that no, their brother's an agent, then I'm not going to expect that they're going to send me business. So it's just cleaner that way. So that's the conversation I would have. I would just apologize, and I would get related again, and then I would integrate them back, and they'd be off to the races. I think the biggest thing that that I'm still guilty of, but I can guarantee you, you're all my witness. This year, I'm not losing any relationships. So if you call me off of a sign, or we have a phone call, or any kind of connection, and we talk, I'm making sure that I get your data and you're integrated into our system. It's, when you think about it, every relationship's $700, guys. That's just like a waste. It's like sloppy to not get every single person I'm actually coming in contact with and being that resource for them. It's not being sales. It's not being forceful. It's being of service and actually being connected to people. So whole different ball game. So I think that if we just did a better job making sure that people knew we were really good at what we did, and then we touched them in the ways that we would stay top of mind, everything else would work itself out.
Yeah. John, let's get back to the door knocking. So how many doors? You started with 600. How many doors do you knock now?
So I have 600, and then now I'm working in Cardiff now, so I do some door knocking in Cardiff, which is a whole different animal.
How so?
It screws up the whole year built conversation completely, right? They're all over the road with year of construction. There's a wide range of pricing. it's just a whole different animal. There's, you know,
community.
It's just a very quirky community. I'm really excited about the opportunity to actually do what we're doing and integrate it into this area, but I have a bigger picture. I'm not going to take market share there in 18 months. It's going to take longer.
Right.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Well, yeah. So because I know a lot of agents always want to know, okay, you know, and you covered what you say when you're there, and we'll role play that again. I think.
Sure.
Before we get off, but how often? I mean, if you were starting a farm like you did before with a neighborhood of 600 homes,
right?
How regularly would you door knock that neighborhood?
Once a quarter.
Once a quarter.
Yeah.
So if I lived in the neighborhood, I would see you once a quarter, 4 times a year.
Well, I mean, if you're there.
Right.
Right. I mean, and that's just my approach. I know that other people, they'll double back and make sure they push the yield up and talk to as many people. I don't have that attention span, frankly. So if I don't get you that first time, it's going to be another 3 months before there's another effort made.
So you knock on my door and I'm not there. Do you leave something? Your business card, a flyer? Yeah.
I just leave. Just sold something. You know, I think that the biggest cost of marketing through the mail is postage. So if I want them to at least know I was there. But the challenge with people that I want to caution people is don't get hung up on needing to have something, because I did that too. Like, well, I can't door knock because my stuff's not ready. That's a bullshit. That's a bad excuse. So, because I did it. So don't. For me, I would say, you know, if you can't get something together in a couple hours, forget about it. Just go hit the streets.
Well, and it's the wrong piece anyway if it takes that long to get it together.
That's right. Yeah, that's called prospecting avoidance.
Yeah. Okay.
So
good.
I do leave, or if they're there, I hand them something. You know, there's nothing special about it. You know, there's no people want to shadow me. I think it's better that they go do it themselves and then ask me questions about what they did that worked or didn't work, because there's nothing special. I give myself a wide berth from the front door. So, you know, normally people be 3 or 4 feet behind the door or in front of the door when they knock. I actually back up another 6-8 feet beyond that. So I'm probably 15 feet from the door. After I knock, I back up way up, because the thing I don't want to be I don't want to occur like I'm any threat at all.
A little bit less threatening that way.
Totally. Yeah.
You're not in my space then.
Not in their space, and if a kid answers, I double that distance.
Right.
Because the last thing I want anyone to think that is I'm actually bringing their kids to the door for some purpose. So, you know, just really, really sensitive to that stuff.
Right.
Okay,
John,
go ahead.
Do you find that kind of backing off further? I'm just curious. Do you find that actually encourages people to, like, psychologically actually encourages them to come out of the house more often to talk to you, as opposed to like talking to you from the doorway like most people would?
You know, I think that, you know, when I see people fidgeting with the door, you know, sometimes I mess with people. I just wave if I think they're looking through the keyhole, and I'll say real estate agent. I wear a name badge. I do my best to make sure that I'm identifying myself as, you know, I'm not a creep. So, well, I'm creepy, but I'm not a creep. So, but people, especially when you work an area, I think the first couple times you get through, once you're through the 4th or 5th time, people are going to get clear they're not getting rid of you. You're not going to be. Most agents will just do this a couple times, and they'll prove it doesn't work, and then they'll spend money on advertising. You know, so it's really a thing where if you just hang in there with it, it'll pay dividends. I don't know if that answers your question.
So let's role play it. So you walk up to the door, John. You knock on the door. You back up, 15 feet away from the door, right?
Yeah.
I open the door. Do it.
So if I've actually spoken to you in the past, right, if I know who you are, I'll say something different than if you were someone I hadn't spoken to before. If I hadn't spoken to you before, I'll just say, I'm John. I work for Keller Williams Real Estate. I'm a real estate agent. I'm actually out working. That usually gets a laugh. And then I say, look, I'm just simply coming by to see when you're going to move. That's it.
Well, John, I don't have any plans to move.
Yeah, most people don't. How long have you been here at this address?
About 12 years.
Okay, so what? You're second owner of this house?
Yeah.
Excellent. And where did you move from before you bought this house here?
I was in coastal San Diego County too. Just wanted to live here.
Yeah. Well, people are still coming here for those reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were to move again, where do you think you'd go next?
Well, I've already moved within the coast of San Diego County once. I'd probably stay somewhere coastal, maybe just get something a little bit smaller once the kids are grown.
Yeah. And what grade are they in?
They're both in high school, sophomore and a senior in high school.
You know what that tells me, Jim? I think we're going to
What's
see
that?
each other a couple more times. You know?
Yeah.
So, well, listen, just curious, do you have someone that you normally use when you buy or sell real estate?
Yeah, obviously I did when I bought the house, but I haven't heard from that person since we bought the house.
Yeah. Well, I guess my question is would you be open to my earning your business, whenever that is? It could be 10 years from now. Would you be open to that?
Sure, why wouldn't I?
Okay, great. Well, I already know your name and I have your address. Why don't you give me your phone number here?
Okay, it's 858-254-1840.
Excellent, Jim. And your email?
It's jimr@kw.com.
Awesome. So, Jim, it's great to talk to you again or meet you for the first time. And I don't take it lightly that you've given me permission to earn your business. And I'd love to be a resource for you and for your family whenever you have the need. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Great. Nice to talk to you.
Great.
Cha-ching.
John, thanks for that.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, $700. Cha-ching, $700, right? and I made it relatively easy on him. John, let's talk about that for a minute. As easy as that was, how often does the conversation go that easily?
Half the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot.
50% of the time it goes that easily.
A lot.
And there's probably not a lot of reluctance in the other 50%.
No, people, I think you wanted to touch on mindset. I think that if people are consistently a jerk to you when you're door knocking, it's because you're showing up and then you're bringing jerk with you.
Mm-hmm.
So when I door knock, people are nice. People are totally nice, and they want to talk, and they're really cool. Now look, they are wherever they are in their life. That's a given. I don't know if they just broke a dish in the kitchen, or they just had a fight with their husband, or if they just got a raise at work. I don't know. So I'm an interruption in that, but I want to have a great exchange, and people are really nice. So guess who I find?
Nice people.
Yeah. And so my experience of door knocking is actually pretty joyful. Like I get to walk, and I wear shorts when it's hot. I dress up a lot. Not really. So I'll wear a button-down shirt and shorts, and I really want to look like they look when they come to the door. Kind of like dressed down, business casual, very relaxed, very easy. That's my take on it. Yeah, someone else will give you another
contrast to another great door knocker that we know here, who has a suit on, and that's his.
Totally works for him. Works for him. Yeah.
Right.
So for me, that's how I go, and that's who I find, and that's why I would recommend that people go out, and they go out to knock on doors and and find leads, but get in relationship with people, because that kind of foundation you can't mess with. Doesn't matter what happens in the market. Doesn't matter what internet providers stealing or selling leads. Right. You're always going to have people who are going to, as long as you do a good job staying in touch with them, that's going to pay out year after year.
Right. How often do you call your sphere, John?
3 times a year.
3 times a year. Okay. And why 3 times a year? Is there a method to that, or madness?
Yeah, because it's one more than I was doing last year.
Well done. Let's just wrap that up.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, could I call them more? Maybe. Am I calling them more than I've called in the past? I mean, these are rungs of a ladder, I think. So I'm better this year than I was last year, and I'm going to do things this year that I really think are going to move the needle. I could tell you a couple of the things. Community service.
Yeah.
All day long. I'm going to actually incorporate the community service projects into my database so that I can be a resource for people to make a difference in their community, and I can facilitate that. So I can be known as someone who's not just about real estate. I think that is the single greatest thing, the opportunity that I've been missing. So stay tuned. We'll do this in a year. and we'll have done two massive community service projects, and we'll see how that moves the needle.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Gary Keller talked to us about that at Mega Camp in September. He said, you all of you mega agents should have, your own charities, your own 501c3s that you are that you're the head of and that you're contributing to, and giving back to the communities that give to you first and foremost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, good, John. If you were starting your business, I mean, you've been doing this 25 years.
Yeah.
Let's go back to year one. You just got your license.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what you know now, what would you do?
Well, I think that it's a complicated question, because I think that people will always make the money that they need to make. Mm-hmm. I do. So, if you're an agent that needs to make $60,000, guess what you're going to make? You're going to make 60 grand. I did real well and just barely scraped 6 figures for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And then I had a family. So I'd get really clear on why you need to be where you say you want to be in your plan, because everyone's got a different goals. Everyone has a different picture of what it's supposed to look like. So I would definitely, but I would say I would go out every day, I would make a plan, and I would follow it, and I would have a schedule. And I would get the prospecting done in the morning. Not because, for the only reason that if you get it done, it's done. Right. And the last thing you want to do is be out surfing, wondering, thinking about what you should have been doing prospecting. Right. So I did a lot of that. Don't surf prospect. Don't do something and then have your head where you think it should be. Get it done and then get on with your life. This business is a great opportunity to suffer in a big way if you let yourself. I've done plenty of that. So if you're going to be a business person, you've got to have business coming. Leads, listings, and leverage. That's what Gary says. So, that's what I would say, is I'd say, look, if you're going to sell 25 houses, I would go out and I'd talk to 25 people every day, and I would be committed to getting in a relationship with people. And it won't take long. You'll do it. You'll do it in your first year if you have that intention and you keep your word.
And the beauty of that is it works if you're brand new to the business.
Doesn't matter.
It works if you're brand new to San Diego or any other area that you're working in.
Yeah.
It works if you're an established agent of 5, 10, 15, 20 years and you're looking to add to your business.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing I can authentically say is I'm on the short bus with learning being a business person. I think that being at Keller Williams, in spite of myself, has taught me to be a better business person sometimes. So it's unavoidable to be in these conversations. You can't escape learning about being a better business person, being with our company. And so it's just an opportunity to grow exponentially and learn, and that's why I'm after 25 years. Do I look bored? Do I occur burned out? I'm so excited because it's all new to me.
And you're only 35 years old.
I know. Just premature balding, that's all. So I would say be in a place that feeds you and you can grow and you can stay passionate, because if you're not passionate, why are you in this business?
Yeah. Well, and that's the one thing that I found too, John, is being at Keller Williams for the last 14 months now, and being at the events that I've been at with Family Reunion last February and then going again this February, Mega Camp in September, is the level of the discussions, not about real estate, but about business and how it applies to real estate, are at the highest level you're going to find coming from Gary. And when you listen to Gary Keller speak, he doesn't want to speak to real estate agents. He wants to speak to business people.
Yeah, this is just going in a direction that's way beyond being realtors. Yeah. So, it's exciting. It's super exciting, and it's all there. The manuals, it's all laid out. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and at the pace that you want to grow. Believe me, I've taken my own pace. So, that's why I'm excited about this new year.
Yeah, great, man. Matt, what questions do you have for John?
Well, we don't have any questions from the audience yet, so if you'd like to submit some, please do, and that way we can bring them to Jim and John's attention. I was just curious, John, obviously you're coming into Now you're coming into an area where you haven't necessarily door knocked before, and it's not the first time you've done that because you started off with an area that it sounds like you just picked out because of the the demographic and lifestyle factors. So if you're an agent coming in and you've kind of selected your farming area, how do you explain why you have the credibility to sell in that area, especially when you're going up against somebody that's very clearly like the neighborhood expert?
I think the first thing you need to remember is you want to just get in a relationship with people. You're not going to get them all, but you're going to get more than you think. So the more you study the market, the more you're in every single home that comes on the market and sells, the more you know where the stores are, where the parks are, what schools are there, the more educated you are. It's just going to shift. It'll shift over time. There's no telling how long it'll take, but it's a long haul business. I mean, most of my stuff, the business I do, it's not someone I just met. It's not someone I met 3 months ago. It's someone I met a year ago, 2 years ago. So you have to have a single-minded focus to find now business, but you have to have a broad understanding that you're going to win the game if you just keep chipping away at it. Mm-hmm. So in an area like Cardiff, I'm not going to get all the listings, but I'm going to get my share, and I'm going to keep chipping away, and I'm going to outwork, and I'm going to be in relationship with more people, and over time, the odds are going to tip in my favor.
Well, and I think what you find too is when you're in relationship with people like that, and when you've done the work, when you've gone into every listing that's come in the market, whether it be on Caravan or you've previewed it, when you know the parks, you know the restaurants, you know the neighborhoods, that gives you that confidence, and you don't. Right. And buyers and sellers feel that you don't need to tell them that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I've taken listings in Cardiff already where the other guy didn't even get the call. Mm-hmm. Wasn't even competing with them. They just because my confidence, I walked in, I knew what I was talking about, I had a great point of reference, I had a market understanding, and my follow-up was just rigorous. I just haunted these people. I just on them. And so I just eliminated any other option for them because I was the one that was screaming the loudest. Yeah.
And John, we do have a question from Brent. John, what's your script for meeting people for the very first time?
I just give it to you, Brent. When do you plan on moving? How long have you lived at this address? Where'd you move from? How'd you happen to pick this area? If you were to move again, you have it in front of you, Brent, somewhere on the wall if you're looking.
And if not, it's in the replay of this video. But, all right. So we've got another one here. So did you find that having a couple years of door knocking under your belt made a difference, or did you find the bigger change in getting more business just from being intentional? So is it the process or the mindset that made more of a difference?
Mindset all day long. Mindset all day long. Because you can go out and prove it wrong. You could talk to hundreds and hundreds of people and get no business. It's all the context that you're operating from, that I'm operating from. Totally.
Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and knowing John in the short time that I've known him, I can tell you that he has one of the strongest wills and mindsets. There's no negativity in John Roehrig. At least it doesn't come out. That's how he's chosen to live his life. It's how he's chosen to run his business. And I think that's part of the reason why he's so successful, because when he's knocking on people's doors and he's having those discussions with them, because that's really, some people may call it a script, but he just asks a bunch of questions, which by definition is a discussion. They feel that. They feel that positive energy that John exudes, because that's how he lives his life.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm curious, John. I mean, how much do you really? You mentioned kind of the background that you come from, the heavy prospecting and things like that. I mean, do you really even modify the scripting much when you're meeting people, especially door knocking for the first time, or are you able to just pretty much just kind of stick with that established sequence of questions and it goes like that the majority of the time?
I think that it's a great question. I stay with the script, but I think that if you listen to when I role played with Jim, the nuance doesn't come in the questions; it comes in the responses.
Right.
So if you listen to the responses, you're gonna hear what I said, and you're gonna go, John was listening. He actually took what Jim said, and he actually reinterpreted it. And Jim said, "Yeah, that's what I meant." So I'm not parroting
Yeah.
Jim. I don't parrot
So it's like the
people.
response and then the segue back into the scripting. So you
Yeah.
stay on task while still showing them that you're not just, it's not just a one-way conversation.
Right. I want people to have the experience that I'm listening. And if you don't know your script, you can't listen because you're focused on what you're going to say next. So I say go anyways. Cut your teeth on people. They'll forgive you. And learn your scripts. Role play every day. I used to role play every day with Chris Heller. Every day we role play, and he had been doing it like a robot, like a maniac for forever, and he still role played all the time. So if Chris is doing it, must be something to it.
It must be working. Well, what kind of rituals did you build around your day so that your prospecting and your role playing, like how did you fit the door knocking into your day, and what did your average day look like with that door knocking taking up such a significant chunk?
It was not significant. I think that here's the thing that so I don't work that much. Oh, there I said it.
Explain.
Right. So I probably work 20, 25 hours a week.
And you made how much last year? Gross commissions?
$440.
Okay.
So I would say that the short answer, the best answer is, who cares what happens at the beginning of the day before you start? Just make sure your butt's on the doors when you say you're going to be on them or on the phone. All the other stuff is gravy. You can pull the slingshot back so you're firing away when you begin. But even if you've got all this nonsense in your head and you haven't eaten right and you haven't worked out and you haven't meditated, if you just get yourself out of the car and knock on the first door and just begin, it's all downhill from there. So, and when I door knock, it's 90 minutes. 90 minutes. It's 90 minutes, guys. And I go through 600 homes in 6-7 days. 90 minutes. Then I do some lead follow-up, and, the rest of the day is mine. Sorry.
And what do you do with the rest of the day?
The ocean is calling.
Yeah. John's office, look out that window behind him. John's office is about 2 blocks, maybe 3 blocks to the beach. So
I'm looking at it right here. Yes. So, but I've set my, as Jim said, I've set my life up to be that way, and so, I don't do a lot of the assistant work. I have someone that does that because it's not what my life's about anymore. I'm sorry, my foot's cramping. People should also know. So my business last year, I had 70% listings, 30% buyers. Of the buyers I worked with, I have someone that helped me with a couple buyers, so I didn't do a lot of buyer sales. Mostly they were the people I had sold their home that needed to find another home, which was a very motivated person. So I don't cart around people a lot, and that's just a time burner for me. So I'm not super interested in that. And I sold every listing I took, which was, I think it was 21, and my average market time was 18 days. So, I know my numbers. So,
awesome.
Knowing your numbers and having that track record, I'm tough to beat. Mm-hmm. So if I'm competing with someone, which doesn't happen a lot, it's not going to look good for them. Frankly.
Really good. John, well, let me ask you this question. I think I know how you're going to answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's the best time to go door knock?
When you'll do it.
Yeah.
I can answer for myself because I've just learned that putting it off, happy hours at 5, so, you put it off till the evening, it's just not going to happen. So, if I don't do it at 9 o'clock, it's not a chance it's going to happen. So it's got to be 9 a.m. I usually will do it at 8:45 because that's when people are leaving. You get a little higher percentage of people who are home at that time. So 8:45 till 10-ish, 10:15, 10:30-ish sometimes. That's it. But I do it when I know I can count on myself to get it done. Otherwise, it's just mentally it's too hard on me to actually feel guilty about what I should be doing versus what I'm doing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions there, Matt?
No, nothing here.
Okay. Good. Good. John, what's the one thing you'd want everybody to know based on everything that we talked about today? If we're going to take one thing away from this, what's the most important thing?
Just look at this business like a business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Get the red book, study it. Get the red book and study it.
The red book John's speaking about is Gary Keller's The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. If you don't have agents from other companies read it, it's how to. Gary's doing a rewrite, and they're adding some to The Millionaire Real Estate Agent and updating it. Yeah. I have the notes that he's using for that and kind of a precursor for that. So for any of you that either want the red book or want the notes and the revisions to what the red book's going to be, just shoot me over an email, jimr@kw.com, and I'm more than happy to share that with you.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we've created at Keller Williams in Carmel Valley, and because I can only speak for our office, is the culture in our office is an abundance culture. So, in other words, when people come to our office, they don't close their door if they find something that's working and hide out so no one gets it. Our doors are open. So you walk down the hall and you have an issue. You're going to get 2 or 3 or 4 people that are helping you with the challenge. Maybe they've been through it, or maybe they have things that can help you. So I'd be around people that understand that there's so much business. They don't need to protect themselves from anything. And so Keller Williams Carmel Valley is definitely one of those places. So I would get in a place where you can grow like a weed, because that's what's happened for me.
Cool. Thanks, John. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. Matt, thank you. John, I owe you lunch next time, so thank you for spending your time with us today. I'm sure that it's almost 2 o'clock here in San Diego. Surfing today? What are you doing the rest of the day?
I'm going to go for a run.
Attaboy.
Yeah, and people can feel free to reach out. I'm pretty easy to find if they have questions.
What's your email address, John, real quick?
It's John, John, at roehriggroup.com, ROEHRIGGROUP.com.
Great. John, thanks again. I appreciate it. Matt, thank you for facilitating for us. Tell Scott I said hello. And for those of you that are looking for some help on how to grow your business online, contact Matt and the boys over at Vyral Marketing. They do a great job at it.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jim. Thanks so much, guys. We appreciate everyone being here. Continue to send in, your questions, and we can see if Jim and John can answer those offline and get back to you as well. And we'll see you guys next time.
Sounds
Bye, guys.
Good.